I'm not happy.
I don't need Elizabeth Warren or the government giving away my money.
Calling Mike Bloomberg an oligarch has implications in this country that I think are unfair and unreasonable.
I care. That's it.
Makes you think of some rich person who got their money off of oil in Russia, who's taking advantage of a broken and dysfunctional system.
Bernie Sanders saying, the country's corrupt, our system's corrupt. Be careful about that language, Bernie. You know, be careful.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
The Republican Party's racist.
Oh my God! He admitted it!
Found the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Friday, we have survived yet another week. I know. Props to us. Just, like everybody, give yourself a pat in the back for, surviving yet another week of bullshit. And trust me, there's a lot. Bullshit. Anyway, so we're going to get into some details here. Fun stories first, as well as we're going to start off actually with worker solidarity. Oh, I love it. So we're going to have some worker solidarity. We're going to talk about that, including Fran Drescher being based as hell, talking, about workers' rights and things that are going on. In regards to why they are on strike, joining with the Writers Guild. So we've got all those details. Then we have, of course, Ron DeSantis, big loser energy. We're going to have fun with that. We have a defamation lawsuit that just wasn't meant to be. You're going to love that story. I don't want to spoil the details. But let me just give you a little tease on that one, okay? A Kyle Rittenhouse supporter got mad that someone called him racist online and sued. We're going to have fun. We're going to have fun on that one. Then we have Fox host that's getting real sick and tired of hearing about Hunter Biden. Irony, I think much. And then, of course, incredibly racist statements from Charlie Kirk. I know.
Sexual anarchy?
Not in this case. All right, but before we dive into it, I just want to, for the YouTube chat, you're asking, I pinned the resignation letter from TYT Mods. So, look, we're affiliated with TYT. This channel, we're a network partner. And look, I like a lot of the stuff that TYT does. But sometimes they do things that are stupid, as we all do, okay? Let's be fair about that. They made some comments about trans people that I disagree with. I'm very open about how I disagree with them. And so as a result of these statements and some of the pushback on their audience, TYT Mods quit. And so they took their convictions and they said, look, we don't like the way that you're going. And you can read this letter. I'm not going to, read the entire thing, but I'm just going to basically give a synopsis of like, hey, they feel that the, statements that were made by Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur in regards to the trans community, gender affirming care, trans women in sports, were transphobic. And so they said, look, we're not going to, do unpaid labor for an organization that is saying transphobic things. And I think that's incredibly brave of them, strong of them, pushing back. Look, again, I said that I disagree with Anna and Cenk on these issues, and some of the pushback that they've given to the audience and other hosts. Again, I like a lot of the work that they have done, but I don't like the stuff that they've said on trans issues. And again, I'm more than open in voicing my disagreements with them, and I think that they are wrong. All the medical organizations are wrong on this issue, and I hope they come around to, seeing new information and being progressives, as in, we're going to progress, we're going to grow. Cenk's shown the ability to do that before. He went from being a Republican to, being more progressive. There's hope. There's hope. And so I'm hoping that, saying this, people pushing back, and doing these things will eventually get them to go, hey, wait a minute, maybe I should re-examine my position. That's the hope. And so, again, if you all want to check that out, I've got that pinned in the comments, but I don't want to spend any more time on it, because we've already seen, everybody under the sun talk about this issue, and I want to get to some news. But again, thank you to the mods for doing that, for taking this stance. Thank you to everybody, especially Majority Report, Emma Vigeland. Emma Vigeland's, friends with Anna Kasparian, and she pushes back. And so, Emma is awesome, wonderful, but so is everybody who's been politely pushing back and saying, hey, look, this is where I think you're wrong. And so, what if they don't change their opinions? I don't know. I'm just going to keep trying, but you guys can do, whatever you think is appropriate. I think that people can be swayed with the right evidence and enough time. Maybe I'm an optimist. Maybe I'm a little too hopeful. But I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to keep putting out the facts. And that's it. All right. So with that said, why don't we dive into the stories here? We got plenty of news to go through. So let's do it. All right. Fran Drescher, president of the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, known as SAG-AFTRA, she got heated in a recent press conference announcing a massive strike. The Screen Actors Guild will be is actually on strike, joining the current strike of the Writers Guild of America. So I'm going to show you her statements here because they're incredibly powerful and strong. Without further ado.
How far apart we are on so many things. How they plead poverty, that they're losing money left and right when giving hundreds of millions of dollars to their CEOs. It is disgusting. Shame on them. They stand on the wrong side of history at this very moment. Our union and our sister unions and the unions around the world are standing by us, as well as other labor unions. Because at some point, the jig is up. You cannot keep being dwindled and marginalized and disrespected and dishonored. The entire business model has been changed by streaming, digital, AI. This is a moment of history that is a moment of truth. If we don't stand tall right now, we are all going to be in trouble. We are all going to be in jeopardy of being replaced by machines and big business. Who cares more about Wall Street than you and your family? Most of Americans don't have more than $500 in an emergency.
Sorry about that. Oh, wow. I pulled a lance. Okay. So, hold on here.
There's insanity in the control room.
Who's got a hammer?
All right. So, now look, that was incredibly strong. She went on to, also talk about, again, solidarity, saying that basically this was the largest strike authorization vote in the union's history. 98%. 98% voted in favor of striking. So that's huge, huge. And she said that we made the hard decision that we tell you as we stand before you today. This is major. It's really serious, and it's going to impact every single person that is in labor. And says that we're fortunate enough to be in a country right now that happens to be labor friendly. That I do disagree a little bit with that, because I don't think the United States is very labor friendly. Nonetheless, but that said, she's in a pretty large, very influential, very powerful union, and so them going on strike might have a pretty big downstream ripple effect. So that's awesome. She also says, you cannot change the business model as much as it has changed and not expect the contract to change too. We're not going to keep doing incremental changes on a contract that no longer honors what is happening right now with this business model that was foisted upon us. And she talks about AI, and she talks about the rise of streaming. Two sticking points. I'll get into detail a little bit more on that. She then said, quote, what are we doing? Moving around furniture on the Titanic? It's crazy. So the jig is up. We stand tall. You have to wake up and smell the coffee. We are labor, and we stand tall, and we demand respect and to be honored for our contribution. You share the wealth because you cannot exist without us. So that right there, that is the fundamental truth of labor. They cannot exist without the workers. So I absolutely love it. It's a very powerful speech. And look, this is after talks broke down on a new contract between the unions and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. She mentioned the sticking points, AI to replace writers. So imagine like all the writers, or a majority of writers, being replaced by AI, and just having a couple of humans there to check the writing. Wow. Okay. Now, that would be disastrous. And even more disastrous would be having actors replaced with digital recreations and AI, voice mimicry, and all that stuff. And these actors, their likenesses would be used, but they don't get paid. I mean, that's horrifying. Now, one of the things the studios wanted to do was to scan background actors once and then use those likenesses, to have access to those likenesses in perpetuity for the rest of these people's life, for the rest of time, without any additional compensation for those actors. And by the way, Drescher also addressed this. She said, look, those people get paid like $200 for appearing as extras. So it's really not even that amount of money, that big of amount of money to pay background actors. But these studio heads are so incredibly cheap that they just want to scan these people in, use their likeness without having to pay background actors at all. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So now look, here's the thing. You might think of Hollywood actors as like, you're a bunch of goddamn millionaires crying. Actually, no, the vast majority of actors that we all watch and we all enjoy, they're not the top 100, okay? The people that these issues impact are, again, small screen, not very well compensated actors and extras. These are people that are trying to break into the industry and are being exploited by these studios. The vast majority of actors and actresses do not make these millions of dollars. And not to mention, of course, you have more people than just actors that are involved in the production of the shows. And they don't make a lot of money either and work massively long hours. Think of all the stagehands, the crew, the camera operators, the lights, the people who, you know, build the sets and do the costuming, all this stuff. All these people, they're not raking in the money. They're impacted by all this stuff too. And yet the CEOs of these companies, well, they don't care about compensating these people. In fact, they want to do what pretty much every CEO wants to do. Cut as many costs as possible so they can make as much profit as possible to give to shareholders. That's what's going on here. Okay? And by the way, speaking of the CEOs, as the National Board of the Union met on Thursday to vote whether or not to call a strike, Disney CEO Bob Iger accused SAG-AFTRA and the WGA of not being realistic in their demand. You're paying people, not using AI to steal your likeness for the end of time? Well, that is just not realistic. What? Iger, and this is according to a tweet from Warren Gunnels, has an estimated net worth of $690 million, while the median pay of screenwriters has gone down 23% over the past decade. So understand, the money is there. Oh, the money is there. But it's all in the CEO's pocket. They have more than enough money to pay actors. They have more than enough to be able to pay extras. They just refuse to do it because they want to make money. Now, Duncan Crabtree Ireland, National Executive Director and Chief Negotiator for SAG-AFTRA, told the New York Times, quote, "Look, we're just looking to make sure that acting can be a sustainable career choice for people, not just the 100 most famous celebrities out in the world, but for the whole large population of our membership. They should be able to make a living and, you know, pay a mortgage or pay rent just like everybody else." And I agree. Now, that said, mainly this affects smaller actors and actresses, but on their side are some very notable actors and actresses. For example, people backing the strike so far is Meryl Streep, Jennifer Lawrence, John Leguizamo, George Clooney, Margot Robbie, Emily Blunt, Cillian Murphy, Florence Pugh, Josh Hartnett, Cynthia Nixon, Jamie Lee Curtis, Jerry Ryan, James Cromwell, Mark Ruffalo, and many more. Many, many more. Again, the vast majority, the solidarity here cannot be, you just can't I don't know where the word's at today. I have the best words, the greatest words, but you can't count it out. Okay. It should not be underestimated, the support that they have, the solidarity between all these members. And that's really, really huge. Because again, when you're looking at AI, for example, that's dystopian. Now, AI can be used for good things, right? Chat GPT to answer questions and things like that. But there's also a negative side to it. We have the ability to fake people's voices and recreate their likenesses. And that technology is going to continue to get better and better and more refined to a point where we're not going to be able to tell what's real, what's AI. And so you're taking basically jobs away from real human beings and giving it to unpaid machines. Taking the human beings out of art. And I always thought that, when the machines come, that they were going to take over the menial labor. And that's, not talking about whether or not they would have a machine revolution. We're not talking about that. But they would do all the menial labor, and so that would free up human beings to live good lives and to focus on the arts and the humanities. But no, the robots are taking over the arts and humanities and leaving the humans to the menial crap. This is not good. This entire thing's got to be nipped in the bud. All right? And I'm hoping this massive strike will help to do that. There has to be some reining in of the widespread use of AI when it comes to the entertainment industry. And also in the journalism industry. Again, we've got AI that can, crank out BuzzFeed lists. And yeah, okay, listicles, sure, ridiculous, but at certain points, there will be AI that can now just do news stories. That will pump out news articles. What's that going to do for journalism? Exactly. And so, again, there's a lot of issues here. Now, that said, the strike's obviously going to mean that some of your favorite shows are not going to be on. But at the end of the day, I think it's worth it. It's worth it because we have to have labor to finally stand up for what is right. And honestly, as I said before, this could have repercussions downhill for all the other labor movements that are going on in this country that maybe don't have the star power, that don't have, all the resources that a huge union like SAG-AFTRA actually has. So, anything that helps the cause of working people, I'm in favor. We all should be. Okay. It can never replace the real thing, but they're gonna try because it's cheap. Okay. Moving on. Let's go to Ron DeSantis. I remember when I worked for Old National newspaper, they put my pay in commissions and told me I was making too much money. You can't make this stuff up. Wonder how much the CEO was making. Wonder how much the shareholders were making. And look, by the way, print journalism, is pretty much dead because there wasn't a whole lot of money in it. And not only print journalism, but you also had things like, newsrooms all over the country that have folded. You've the digital news apocalypse that is upon us. And so it's not good for journalism these days. And that's incredibly unfortunate, especially if you want to have a functional democracy. Okay. Fox Corp president Rupert Murdoch is done with Ron DeSantis. Now, on Tuesday, Rolling Stone reported that Murdoch and top Fox executives have grown increasingly displeased with the DeSantis campaign's perceived stumbles, lackluster polling, and inability to swiftly dethrone Trump. I wonder which throne that they're talking about.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times.
Maybe not that one. But okay, look, as DeSantis' polling continues to slip, Fox pundits have been asking things like, hey, Ron, why does your campaign suck so much?
There's something about you that's not connecting for whatever reason, not connecting with the voter.
I'm wondering what's going on with your campaign. There was a lot of optimism about you running for president earlier in the year. What happened?
You're down over 30 points to Trump. What's your strategy for catching up?
Listen, we like the guy. We got to do an intervention. He doesn't have the campaign skills. He is, talk about failure to launch. He's just sinking. And I don't think he has to drop out. He's just going to fade out and just wither and die on the vine there.
I think Ron DeSantis' biggest problem, his biggest problem is people are getting to know him. And it turns out his record in Florida is kind of hurtful to a lot of people and hateful. And it's not resonating. He also, from every report, seems to be a weird guy with voters. And when you're in Iowa and New Hampshire, you have to talk one-on-one to them. And I don't think he does that really well.
It's kind of a weird guy, the failure to launch. We need an intervention. Okay. And look, that last clip, by the way, the guy makes some pretty good points. Ron DeSantis has run his entire campaign on hating gay people, hating trans people, and fighting wokeness, whatever the hell he thinks that means.
Stupid. The wokers.
Woke.
Okay. So now, look. These issues that Ron DeSantis is running on, nobody really cares about it. Most people don't, unless you're one of those terminally online losers like Matt Walsh. Those kind of people, they care so much about this stuff. Oh my God. But you know what? Nobody else, no actual regular human beings rank trans issues as, it's the top issue. We got to keep the transes out of the bathrooms, and oh my God, they're transing our children in the schools and stuff. No. Nobody thinks that's a real issue because it's not. And nobody is voting based on that. In fact, a lot of Republican candidates who ran on this stuff, they lost. And they lost big time. Okay, so look, not only that, but he was also right in the fact that the more people find out about Ron DeSantis, the more people dislike him. Because he's a weirdo. And he's a hateful person. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of polls, and you're going to love these. According to 538's National Poll Tracker, DeSantis currently has an average favorable rating of just 35.5%. His unfavorable rating is 45.9%, which gives him a net favorability score of minus 10.4. Minus 10.4. Oof. But wait, this one's better. Because there was another poll taken by the Daily Mail and TIPP. So they asked, and I don't know why they asked, but they asked about the favorability rating of trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney. You know, the woman who received a can of Bud Light with her face on it, just one, made a video about it, and the entire right wing imploded. Did constant videos on it, were obsessed with Dylan Mulvaney. In fact, look, not only were they obsessed with her, but they were also downright creepy and dangerous. Threatening people, calling in bomb threats, death threats, stalking Mulvaney. I mean, just really absolutely unhinged stuff. But according to this poll, the first nationwide poll of Dylan Mulvaney's favorability ratings actually shows that 50% of the American public who know who she is hold a very favorable view of her. That's 23%, or a somewhat favorable view, 27%. Only 42% viewed her unfavorably, which actually gives her a net favorability rating of +8. Dylan Mulvaney, who has, again, been the target of a massive right-wing hate campaign, polls better, is more favorable to the American people. That is according to a Daily Mail poll than the aggregate of polls about Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, more unpopular. That's awesome. Oops, turns out that, if you make a campaign when you're hating on trans people for no reason, the average person is going to hate you. And be like, man, why are you obsessed so much with hating trans people? What the hell did they do to you? Now, Ron DeSantis' campaign should be looking at this and being like, whoopsie, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we should actually have a robust economic agenda. Or, lie about having a robust economic agenda and stop focusing on the wokes and all that stuff, but they're not going to do that. Now, as for Rupert Murdoch and the Fox News executives, one insider told Rolling Stone, quote, "They are transactional and can smell a loser a mile away." Ron DeSantis, loser. Loser Ron. There we go. Loser Ron. That's something that Trump should. Loser Ron. Okay, so now there's another thing that's happening in Florida, by the way, which is another example of how Ron DeSantis is a terrible governor and is not doing anything. In fact, there's a lot of different things. I talked about his immigration bill having a massive backlash where you have immigrants that are leaving the state. And of course, you have the agricultural industry that is falling apart as a result of that. But there's also an insurance crisis. Now, look, this insurance crisis affects homes. It's mainly homeowner insurance, but it can also affect other types of insurance like auto, for example. And this is actually more related to climate change and not exactly the fault of Ron DeSantis. He didn't start it, but he certainly hasn't done anything to help it. On Tuesday of this week, Farmers Insurance announced that it would stop offering policies in Florida, including home, auto, and umbrella. The news of farmers leaving the state amid reports that premiums in Florida have reportedly surged by more than 200% since Ron DeSantis was elected governor in 2018. Has he done anything about that? Nope, but he sure has spent a lot of time going after the wokes. On average, Floridians are currently spending about $4,200 a year on property insurance compared to the national average of approximately $1,700, according to the Insurance Information Institute. These, the lack of doing anything to help out the average person in Florida is obviously having a huge detrimental effect, or will have a huge detrimental effect, on the housing industry, the housing market in Florida. You might want to address that instead of, going out and talking about the wokes and all that, and then also, running for president. You might want to actually focus on the things that are happening in your state. And by the way, a lot of this also, at least it would be, I'd be remiss to mention that climate change plays a factor in this as well. So obviously, climate change fueling stronger storms, hurricanes hitting Florida, causing massive amounts of property damage. One negative effect of climate change is the fact that, we're having more storms more often, stronger storms, longer hurricane seasons, more destruction, et cetera, and insurance companies are saying, we're not going to make a profit if we continue to insure people in Florida. So bye, we're leaving. Of course, that leaves people whose homes are devastated in Florida without any sort of recourse. So again, it's a disaster, and Ron DeSantis isn't doing a goddamn thing about it. Now, all of this together is why Murdoch, Fox News, none of those like Ron DeSantis are like, no, we're done with you. We're done with you.
That's it. See you later.
Sorry, but not sorry. Now, that said, Murdoch, without Ron DeSantis, who, by the way, is still polling at number 2 in the Republican primaries, behind Donald Trump, well, they haven't settled with Trump yet. In fact, according to the New York Times, Murdoch has privately told people that he wants to see someone else. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin entered the race. Youngkin, he's like, I'm not interested, but, maybe. Maybe he will. Who knows? So it's pretty early. We don't know if anybody else is going to jump into the race. There's still some time, plenty of time. But right now, it's looking like the Republican base has essentially settled on Donald Trump. Whereas Fox News, if someone doesn't come in and overtake Trump, if possible, then Fox News is going to have to settle with Trump, and they probably will. Okay. Karen Cousins has said that the state is becoming worse due to GOP inaction, malaria cases in the state, high inflation, and high unemployment as well. That's true. Okay. You're gonna love this story because it's fun. A right-wing blogger who filed a defamation suit over a man calling him names online has lost, predictably, laughed out of court. So now this man is Kevin Mathewson, a former Kenosha City Council member turned local controversial blogger. So now he sued another resident, Raymond Roberts, for comments he made about Mathewson on Facebook. So this is a wild story. Lots of interesting stuff here. So now Mathewson filed this defamation lawsuit, claiming that his reputation and standing in the community has been damaged by comments from Roberts, who used social media to repeatedly describe Mathewson as a racist with white nationalist connections. We're going to look at that. Mathewson also claims that Roberts endangered his family by publishing his address, though no actual threat had materialized, and further injured his standing at his children's school by claiming Mathewson might be training his children to be suicide bombers. So now, what what is going on here? Well, I think that from what I know, from what I've read of the story, it's a ridiculous case of a conservative trying to do a cancel culture on someone who called him bad names online. Wait, I thought you cared about free speech. I thought you were okay with people giving their opinions. Oh, wait, no, it's only you guys that are, interested in giving your oftentimes hateful opinions. Okay, so now Mathewson, and they call the left snowflakes, by the way. Mathewson, let's look at those, alleged white nationalist ties. So Mathewson was the creator of the Kenosha Guard Facebook page. So now, Kenosha Guard actually had put out a call for armed citizens to respond to Kenosha following the civil unrest in August 2020 over the shooting of Jacob Blake by Officer Rustin Chesky. So one of the people who responded to Mathewson's call to arms was then 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse, who shot and killed 2 people and injured a third. He was later acquitted of homicide on grounds of self-defense. So he put out the call, and Kyle Rittenhouse answered it. Hoo boy. But he's not the only one who showed up, of course. You also had the Boogaloo Boys. They responded to Mathewson's call to arms, and this is according to an email between the Department of Homeland Security and local law enforcement. Following that little ruckus, where, again, we know what happened with Rittenhouse, and, well, he kind of, Mathewson allegedly rode that fame, and decided to become a quote-unquote citizen journalist. So now he began the Kenosha County Eye, where he does reporting as a, again, quote-unquote, citizen journalist. Mathewson has been described as divisive in articles submitted to the court for evidence in this case. So I read some of those articles, I looked through, and basically there's a lot of focus on crime. Big surprise on that one. But he also talks about how woke is bad. So, as usual,
The wokers.
Woke.
Yeah. So, now, that's it. Mathewson and Roberts, the person that Mathewson is suing, have not gotten along. So there's a bit of a history there, okay? So Mathewson had actually written a bunch of articles about Roberts and then packaged them up and mailed them to Roberts' boss, leading to Roberts being approached and, basically sent to HR at his job to talk about this unhinged person sending all these very negative articles. Now, there's more. Roberts testified that on another occasion, Mathewson had sent him an email, which Roberts responded to. Mathewson responded to that response by sending the police to Roberts' house. Wow. In fact, Roberts said the police had been to his house on a number of occasions due to complaints from Mathewson. He said that the police officers always happened to be the same people he suspected that were friends of Mathewson's, who was someone to make a big deal of his connections to law enforcement. Roberts also would call him out online and would call out Mathewson's fake sock puppet accounts that he apparently had. So now, when asked how he knew on the stand that it was Mathewson, Roberts said, "I recognize the patterns." Quote, "Whenever I suspected a comment to be his fake account, I would engage that account. And I would say directly, 'Kevin, we know it's you. Be a man, speak like a man, and stop hiding.'" Nice. And during his testimony, Mathewson admitted to using fake sock puppet accounts online, because of course he does. Well, he was correct on that one. Now, Roberts also testified that he believed his claims about Mathewson, with whom he had interacted online for years, to be true. And so, as such, when it comes to defamation, that does not rise to the level of defamation, and the jury happened to agree. So defamation, we know, talked about it before plenty on the show, it's got a high bar. It needs to be, there needs to be a high bar on what is defamation, or else you have a chilling effect on free speech. So now one of those things is that you have to know that what you're saying is false. In order to do a defamation, you have to know that what you're saying is not true. It also has to be communicated in writing to a third person. It tends to harm the reputation of another person as to lower the individual in the estimation of the community or deter others from associating or dealing with that person. So now on that, the last part is the best. Turns out Mathewson in the community doesn't exactly have a good name in the community. Correspondence submitted as evidence showed that he had a track record of insulting people. In one case, he was quoted as saying to the recipient, quote, "I know you're a dirtbag. I love to sue people for fun, and it would give me great pleasure to sue you." Oh, I love to sue people for fun. Yeah, I mean, that's a true statement, I guess. There it is. There it is. Well, that certainly did not help your case. I think we can chalk that up one to a... Whoopsie. Yeah. Whoops. Now, he also alleged, without evidence, that the teachers had the head of the teachers union committed voter fraud. Yes, voter fraud. In another instance, Mathewson responded to the district's mask policy with an email in which he called the school board idiots. So, yeah, I can see how he's not exactly an enduring, endearing person. He's not endeared himself to members of the pillars of the community. Okay? No wonder they don't like you. No wonder your reputation is, it can't really be damaged because it wasn't that great to begin with. In my opinion, at least. Look, I think it's pretty funny that this person is a snowflake and would sue over someone calling him a racist online. Based on the things that he said, that, by the way, he believes. Because, again, you read some of his posts, they're a little racist. But at the end of the day, it just shows you that the people who most love to dish out criticism never seem to be able to take said criticism. That's really the lesson here. Fun times. All right, moving on. A Fox News host just ironically said that she's tired of hearing about Hunter Biden.
The reason this is so important is Hunter doesn't get the plea deal if they can pin this on him. And finally, why is Hunter Biden always in our face? Why is this guy at the White House? Why is he on Air Force One? Why is he in Ireland? Why is he at State Department dinners? This guy is either a drug addict or a reformed drug addict. We shouldn't have to deal with him constantly in our face. And if Joe has to always take care of his son, maybe he ought to teach his son to take care of his 7th granddaughter and his own child.
I'm so sick of Hunter Biden. Why is he always in our face? Janine, you might want to talk to some of your Fox News coworkers about that. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. Nope. Pretty much nobody outside of Fox News talks about Hunter Biden. At least not with the level of obsession that Fox News talks about Hunter Biden with. Okay, so look, let me give you some numbers on that. Yes, there are numbers on that. According to the results of a search of Fox News transcripts in the television database, TV Eyes, Janine Pirro's reference to Hunter Biden was the 393rd reference to Biden this month in July. July is half over, and they have referenced Hunter Biden, said his name, 393 times.
Whoopsie.
It's not even a whoopsie. They're just obsessed. They're obsessed. That is an average of 30 times a day as of the evening of July 13th. Search results dating back to January 1st of this year indicate that Hunter Biden has been mentioned 3,501 times on Fox News this year. Janine, the call is coming from inside your house. Hunter Biden, understand, Hunter Biden lives rent-free in the heads of these deranged people. And she's got the nerve to ask, unironically, why do I have to keep hearing about him? Why is he always in my face? I mean, look, so here's the thing. They're obsessed about him because they want to use him to attack Joe Biden. Now, for example, last month, Hunter Biden reached a plea deal with federal prosecutors on 2 tax violations in exchange for probation. Fox News went apoplectic. They raged constantly. Sweetheart deal. I can't believe it. How dare the Hunter Biden. I'm obsessed with Hunter Biden. They've also run countless segments on Hunter's laptop, whose contents were, I think, illegally distributed by a computer repairman, who says the device was left to a store. And by the way, some of the stuff that it's in there, it's been shared around. And I say illegally because there's things that are being shared that are personal and private. We're talking about the Hunter dick pics, okay? That the right wing can't help but love to share. And again, there are laws against that, revenge porn laws of sharing that stuff. So, but hey, again, pretty much nobody talks about Hunter Biden except for right-wing media. They're obsessed with him. They're apparently obsessed with the cocaine that's found in the White House, which, by the way, the least surprising thing to find in the White House, honestly. Let's be honest about the history of this entire country and the history of rich people. You want to find the people that do the most cocaine, go to Wall Street. Those are the people doing coke, all right? I'm just saying. But anyway, they're obsessed because they want to use Hunter to attack Joe Biden, and that's ultimately what's going on here. Hunter Biden does not serve in the White House. He's never served in the White House. He's not a political advisor. He's not a political figure at all. He's a troubled person. He's obviously dealing with a lot of things, past substance abuse or even current substance abuse. Don't know. But to weaponize that against someone who loves him, his father, and wants to help him is just gross. And that's what's going on. In all the coverage, by the way, I did of Ivanka and Jared Kushner during the Trump administration, it mainly involved the fact that they were working as advisors in the Trump White House. They benefited personally from access to world leaders that they had gotten while working in the Trump White House. What was their job? We're advisors to the president. No, what they did is they used their positions to enrich themselves. That's what they did. Hunter Biden's a Biden. And yeah, you want to talk about Burisma? I've talked about that before. Did he get the Burisma position because of who his dad is? Of course he did. Yes, we all know that. We're quite aware of the role of nepotism. Sure. That said, did Joe Biden personally benefit from that? No, there's no evidence of that. Did he change his position on Burisma, Ukraine? No. That's not what happened. But when you look at Ivanka Trump getting special trademarks from China, approved in China, while meeting with, again, her dad was in a meeting with President Xi Jinping of China when he was president. She was there in that meeting, and this was right in the middle of their trade war. But somehow Ivanka gets special dispensation, special trademarks to operate and sell in China. Come on, you know there was corruption there. But did Fox News ever talk about that? No. But they do talk about nonstop Hunter Biden. So hey, Janine, if you're tired of talking about Hunter Biden, got a thought for you. Stop talking about him. Whoa! Whoa! Holy crap. I know. Look, by the way, I'm not saying ignore everything that could be newsworthy. Yeah, I'm sure there might be newsworthy things, again, about the tax charges, whatever. Sure, but unless there's something actually newsworthy about Hunter Biden, leave him alone. And your problem is solved. The Coke was Don Jr.'s. Wouldn't be surprised. Okay. Anyway. Last story here. They have a genitalia obsession? Well, yes, they do. That is fair.
Tighten up my meat. I like my meat tight.
Tallywhacker.
Testicles.
Okay. So, here we go. Charlie Kirk is going to go on a very deeply racist rant. And it's, well, it's, I would say that it's shocking, but it really isn't. Take a look.
If we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. You know, this is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are. They're so narcissistic, they think this is persuasive. They think we're like, oh, of course, that's why we need affirmative action, because you have impressed us with your brilliance.
Oh my God! He admitted it!
The Republican Party's racist.
There it is. And there it is. Again, this is not a surprise to me. Shouldn't be a surprise to any of you, but the total mask off, hood off, whatever you want to call it. Charlie Kirk, deeply racist. So look, by the way, I love how he talks about, impressed you, impressed with your brilliance, right? Charlie Kirk is not impressing anybody with his brilliance. Okay? That's why he says brain dead things like this all the time. Okay? So, look, affirmative action no longer exists, by the way. But basically what it allowed for is one of the considerations for college admittance, and it's really important in very, very competitive Ivy League schools, one of those considerations to be based on race. Not the only consideration, just one of them, to try to promote more diversity. So now, there are people, read morons, like Charlie Kirk, that think, oh, race is the only factor. And they just go and take people that have that have terrible grades, and they put them in these schools. They're not smart enough. He literally said it in his own words. That's not what affirmative action was. The whole point was to give people in disadvantaged communities who excel, by the way, who have good grades, to give them a shot at getting into these very prestigious schools. That's it. You have to work incredibly hard to get into an Ivy League school. And if you're a minority, you have to work even harder to get into an Ivy League school. At least now. Good grades, high test scores, academic achievement, all that stuff. Now, of course, there is one group of people that actually does kind of fit what Charlie Kirk's talking about. Any black people, it's legacy admissions. These are, in many cases, not all of them, But in a lot of cases, people who, they have parents that have, donated to the schools. Yes, very influential donors to these schools, and we'll have a legacy here, you see. We're going to let these people in. It doesn't matter their grades in some cases, and I'm going to show you some examples of that. The right wing, however, they don't want to talk about legacy admissions for a reason. But it turns out, according to recent reports, the real people who are stealing jobs from qualified people are, again, legacy admissions. 3 private universities in California acknowledged to the state that in recent years, they admitted some legacy students who didn't even meet minimum admission requirements, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. Those institutions are Pepperdine University, University of Southern California, and Vanguard University. USC reported offering admission to 8 students over the course of 4 years who were related to donors or alumni but didn't meet admission requirements, according to that report. Because of course, right? Pepperdine reported to the state that it offered admission to fewer than 10 legacy students who did not meet the university standards in each of the 20 to 21 and 21 to 22 academic years. A spokesperson said 1 student was admitted each year. Vanguard reported that fewer than 10 such students admitted in 3 of the past 4 academic years. So what they gave to clearly unqualified people could have went to more qualified students. How's that for affirmative action? Right there. That's affirmative action for rich people. Rich, generally white people. Let's be very, very clear about that. And this guy wants to talk about, you're taking it from the more deserving whites. That's what you're doing. Yeah, you wouldn't be there if it weren't for stealing a spot from white people. How is that any different than white nationalist rhetoric? Oh, right, it's not, because it actually exactly matches white nationalist rhetoric. That's what it is. Look, I know there are people out there who still pretend to claim, no, we were just against that policy of affirmative action because we should believe in a merit-based system. We don't think racism exists anymore. First of all, wrong. Racism absolutely does exist in this country. And secondly, we're not a merit-based society. It's not meritocracy. You just saw that there are people who are deeply unqualified, don't meet the admission standards, but because they're rich, have rich parents that have donated to the school, they get in. That's a travesty, and everyone who professes to care about merit-based admissions should be outraged, should be livid. Is Charlie Kirk livid over this? No. Absolutely not. No, you see how gleeful he was to basically say, these black women are stupid. Black women, they're dumb. Yeah, they'd never make it on their own. That's Charlie Kirk for you, and that's incredibly racist. Incredibly racist. But again, here's the thing. In reality, racist, you know what the number one thing racists are scared of? Educated black people. It's true. It's true. They do not want black people to succeed because they believe that if black people do better, they somehow do worse. They no longer get to feel superior to other people. And that pisses them off. That frustrates them. Oh, we're supposed to be the superiors. Well, you're not. Clearly, you're not. Look, at the end of the day, this is not a zero-sum game. All right? When black people do better, society does better. When minorities do better, society does better. When everyone does better, everyone does better. But Charlie Kirk is a dumbass. He believes that he's more intelligent than one of the most highly qualified black women on the Supreme Court. Really? Nah, there's no contest. Because obviously she's on the court, and Charlie's spouting white nationalist talking points to some of the dumbest people on the internet. That's who he is. All right. So there it is. There it is. Let's see. I'm going to read some super chats here. Gabby Mathis, thank you. The very, 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 very kind super chat. Making up for my lost cards. Love you, Jeff, and all progressives. In the chat, pay it forward. Well, thank you very much. I really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Gabby, also thank you for, becoming a member again, re-upping your membership, and also for the 5 gifted memberships in the chat. And Dystopian Dragon, also thank you for becoming a member. So you can, of course, become a member by hitting the join button below if you're on YouTube. You can also do a membership on Facebook, and you can become a subscriber on Twitch. So, by the way, let's head over to our Twitch community. Let's see. Hunger Games 1989, thank you for resubbing for a month at tier 1. Hunger Games 1989 says 18 months and Charlie Kirk needs to get his head fixed and his brain examined. If he thinks KBJ is dumb and benefited from affirmative action, she's the smartest one in the Supreme Court right now. Cerberus Alpha Gaming, also thank you for gifting 2 tier 1 subs on Twitch. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the support, by the way. All right, everybody, please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Let's see. One more here. Let's see. Wow, Jeff, excellent sound. Audio's the best ever. Thank you. Well, I'm glad I got that fixed. Awesome. Awesome. I like having the audio fixed, so I think maybe I'll keep it there. All right. So, again, we're gonna raid into for the Twitch community. Raid into do Franafio. Should be awesome. With that, everybody else, thank you so much. Again, like and share the stream. Check out our videos on our YouTube, Facebook pages, and the live streams, of course, you can watch on Twitch if you're on Twitch as well and you missed any of it. Have a great weekend, everybody. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you all on Monday.
Stop with the questions. Celebrate. We'll do it live. Internet. Well, I do not consent. We will keep kicking your ass every single day.
Woke mob.
Whoopsie.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.